Hello again, Steve here with a little coffee chat roadshow. My friend Lang Sykes here, and as you can see, we're the two amigos this morning. I was just at a couple of days ago at an event that Lang did, and I was really impressed with a lot of the insights I got out of it. And I bought his T-shirt. It's "Cherish the Moment," and he was just pointing out to me that cherish is a synonym for honor. So to honor the moment is something very valuable, I think. And we're just going to have a little bit of a chat with Lang here about what he has upcoming and the value of the message that he has to present. Now, like I say, I was just at an event a couple of days ago. It was last week, and it was about stress, because he talks a lot about how to deal with stress. And a couple of insights I got out of it were that he said at one point that it's all in your head. At first I didn't understand that, all in your head. Well, we're creative beings, right? And I started thinking about it and how we will take something. You can have 5 people in a row and basically the same outward circumstances. A couple are freaked out about it, some are okay with it, and some are just doesn't matter. What's the difference then? Well, it's maybe their interpretation of it, right? So that's what I took away from that. Another one he said was that we all live in abstractions, or we live in abstractions so much of the time. And I go, wow, isn't that so true? I mean, we're all dangling pieces of paperwork and saying, this is me and this is my diploma here and I'm this and I'm that. And also all of our thoughts are subjective abstractions. And we, the whole idea of living in our heads is abstraction for the most part. And there was another one that had something to do with all of us having an opinion too, which was an interesting one as well. Yeah, so I won't repeat that one here. Anyways, so Lang, you're going to be having another one of these workshops coming up soon.
I'm having another workshop similar to this one. This one was called Stress Can Be a Killer. But really it's about what I offer is suggestions on how to diffuse stress. So this is, I think I'm going to recall it stress diffusing techniques. It's not that if you live long enough, you're going to have your share of stress. Somebody close to you will die, relationships will end, you'll move. Public speaking is stressful, developing workshops. So it's not really what happens to you, it's really your thoughts about what happened to you that causes the stress. So many of us say this should or should not have happened. Well, that's the wrong avenue to take. I mean, it did happen. Right. And you start from that.
Right, so it's admitting first and then moving on with it.
And dealing with it, but there's lots of ways you can diffuse it. So you can't avoid it, but you can diffuse it. So it's not you're free of stress, but you're free from it. You're not carrying it around with you like a shopping bag over your shoulder continuously.
Right, and at the event too, you mentioned that you're going to be showing a movie. Is it on the 8th of April?
I'm showing 2 movies. One is on the 8th of April here at the Cosmos Civic Center in Saskatoon. That's called Leap. Leap is a metaphysical movie. It's fast becoming one of the most popular New Thought movies of this day. For people who are watching this elsewhere, Leap can be purchased off my website. You can also download it for one day, watch it, and then purchase it. And what I really, really like about Leap, and I've seen it several times, at the start and at the end, the question is, just take a look at your beliefs. Are they really yours?
Right.
Or are they somebody else's that's been installed into you? And that whole philosophy comes from, my understanding is, you're born, we've all come from babies and we've all seen babies, but if you look at a baby, I ask you to consider what intelligence or what source is breathing the baby. There's thousands if not millions of functions going on in the body. Science says I've heard 50 trillion cells, 70 trillion cells, 100 trillion cells. There's a lot of cells in there, and there's some in source that's controlling it behind the scenes, because George Lang Sykes, I'm not doing that. I'm not monitoring my blood pressure. I'm not doing any of that. So the baby is doing that. Another thing you notice about a baby, it's breathing out of its belly. Most of us, at least in this culture, breathing from the diaphragm up. But then the baby, I call that the hardware. That's your connection to whatever. The software is installed by the society that you're raised in. So I was born in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, in home Catholic family, Canadian. So that's the culture, that's the software, that's the default running the show behind the scenes. That's my beliefs. And what choice does a baby have?
Yeah, apparently not much.
No, I mean,
None, yeah. Yeah.
The interesting thing, if I'd been born a mile south, I would have been in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan.
Yeah.
Fairly different bit of software there. As an 18-year-old, I would have had to decide to go to the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So different software, same baby. But also, are you and I not still? I mean, that same intelligence that was operating those trillions of cells back then is still the same intelligence that's operating this body now, or this human form now. So the only difference between myself and the baby, or you and the baby, or anybody and the baby, is the software. What's up here?
Right.
So you don't see, a baby lives in the moment. It lives in the present moment. A great exercise for anybody to try. I mentioned it at the workshop the other night. Is just go out and say, "Wow, wow." Jesus, Eckhart Tolle says Jesus, I've heard it before. Jesus was quoted as saying, "Be ye like the little children." So what does a child have that I don't have? Or what do I have that a child doesn't have?
Lots more programming.
Layers and layers and layers and layers of opinions and conditioning. And if I always think I'm right, that gets me in trouble with everybody else who always thinks their opinion is right. My opinion is extremely limited. Now what happens, you get raised in the country, so there was a time when I would be really upset if Team Canada didn't win hockey.
Right.
That doesn't bother me anymore. It's just the interesting thing is, what I show is, if you watch your emotions, and anybody can test this for themselves, close their eyes, think of some time when you got really, really angry. Or just remember when you're angry. What does it do to your body? How do you feel when you get angry?
Well, yeah, there's a connection. There's a direct connection.
Institute of Heart Math
Start
says,
sweating and
Institute of Heart Math
shaking.
says every time you have a stressful or negative emotion, it releases 1,400 biochemicals into your bloodstream. Adrenaline, cortisol being two of the worst, and cortisol is all associated with worry. They're all fear-based, and they're all coming out of the software that says this should have happened, or you should have done this, or why me? And it's all a program. So that's what they say. The movie Leap asks you to you don't have to believe anything I say. Just question it for yourself. Question your own beliefs to see if they're valid. And it's no good blaming your parents. Your parents were programmed. We've all been programmed. That's what I think is so significant about this generation. We have the opportunity to question our program because of the internet.
Yeah, along the lines of blaming the parents, I once heard it said that, okay, our parents raised us till our late teens or whatever it was. So at that point, we had a valid point probably. But if we're talking about when we're 30, 40, 50 years old, well, what about all that time when your parents weren't around? Why are you still blaming? You had like 30 years out on your own, right? And you're still carrying this around. So,
well,
when becoming aware of it, we can then do something about it.
Have you ever heard of the expression? I might have told this before. I've heard this. I don't know where I heard this from. But they say if you put a frog in lukewarm water and slowly turn up the temperature, it'll boil itself to death because it just gets in its comfort zone. Isn't that what human society? Where Earl Nightingale said we're like a herd mentality, and all you have to look is the number of rules and regulations now compared to 30 years ago. They're just turning up the fear factor all the time, and society conditions us to fear the future.
Right.
Regret the past. It's the present moment.
Yeah. Well, we're a survival. We're creatures of survival, right? We want to survive, and you know, if it seems more dangerous to jump out than just to bear.
Yeah.
We'll end up doing, I guess. Eh? You mentioned another movie too. That you're going to be showing.
Course in Miracles.
Course in Miracles.
I have. We'll have the copyright material for that too, or copyright permission to do that. So that's going to be also at the Cosmic Civic Center on Wednesday, May the 6th. That theater seats 150 people. Parking can be a little. There's a lot of parking there, but it can be stressful because there's a lot of other events that go there. Where you were there the other night, and and that could be tickets could be purchased off the website or at the door, and yeah.
All right, and by the way, the whole ticket thing is to do with Lang here. I do podcasting, and anybody who's doing something that I feel is coming from the heart or is beneficial in some way, I like to be able to put that out to as many people as I can. So just to let you know. Now, you also do coaching, or you're going to be getting into coaching.
Well, that's why I'm doing the workshops. I really. What I would like to do is offer coaching services, and there's a lot of wonderful coaches out there, and life coaching is actually becoming one of the fastest growing industries in North America. And I'm sure all those coaches are wonderful. I look I believe in the philosophy that Eckhart Tolle espouses, and the real problem with the root cause of any stressful situation, I believe, is we don't know who or what we are, and we don't live in the present moment. And if a person were just to look at their emotions, again, experience anger, remember an angry situation, see what it does to your body. Remember a happy situation, see what it does to your body. Remember a great sexual encounter, see what it does to your body. Those are all just thoughts in your mind of something that happened in the past. And if you do that, I mean, there is only ever now. The past is just a memory. We keep reliving those emotions, or remembering we experience the same stressful emotion. If you're still carrying anger at somebody from 10 years ago, every time you recall it, you release those 1,400 chemicals again, same chemicals. Similarly, the future doesn't exist, it's just a thought. Usually a fearful thought. I've read that 92% of what we worry about never happens, and another 4% you can't control.
Right.
It's just an absolute waste of energy. Eckhart Tolle talks about there's a sign in a bar, above a bar in London, England, that says, "Free beer tomorrow."
Yay, let's go tomorrow.
Yeah. And of course it's now when you get there.
Yeah.
The sign's still there.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist. So I offer stress diffusing techniques, and what I would suggest to anybody who's out there watching, watch your emotions. Now your emotions, if you can learn to use your emotions as a barometer for good health, that's suggested in the book Ask, and it is given by Esther Hicks. Use your emotions, just watch and see what your emotions do to your body. But where do your emotions come from? They come from your thoughts and your perceptions. Where do your thoughts and your perceptions come from? Come from your values. Values come from your beliefs. Beliefs come from your program.
Right. So change the program. At least you have an opportunity to begin to reprogram.
Well, at least question the program.
Right.
Just question it. And I said, like my parents' generation, I mean, if your teacher said this is so, it's so. You had no way to question it. But with the internet, for those who are open to it, 3 wonderful free resources that I would suggest you look at if you're open to it. On YouTube, Breaking the Illusion of Limitation. It's about a 9-minute video. Some people might get angry when they watch it, but the intent is not to, and angry is anger, happiness is just an inside perception. But the intent, my reason for suggesting this video is to open people up to that awareness that's shown at the end of that. Another great movie that you've probably seen yourself on YouTube is Thrive.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a 2-hour movie by Foster and Kimberly Gamble, and they have a whole wonderful group or movement, the Thrive movement. And somebody once asked me or suggested to me, oh, it's one of those things you have to pay money for. No, 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 no. I've got most of my stuff from Thrive for free. There is an opportunity to donate money. But
Yeah, that's a very common model.
there's 12 different sectors, and they have a lot of really great proactive stuff that they're doing to create a new consciousness based on cooperation rather than competition and
Coercion.
Good word. And the other one is on Netflix, and it's called I Am. I believe, have you seen I Am?
I think you showed it, didn't you?
Yeah, I've showed it a couple times.
So. I think I've seen it.
That's a wonderful movie, and again, that shows. It basically suggests that by nature we're cooperative, but we're conditioned to compete by the educational system. My example would be 911, because when those Twin Towers came down, people rushed in and rescued. There was no thought, they just went in and saved people. It's only after when you get into your software and you start thinking, oh, why did I save that person's wrong color or whatever but that's all your program, please.
Interesting about the cooperation versus the competition. There was a guy that I watched on YouTube. He was talking about how there's way more cooperation than there is competition in the world already. So it's along the lines of our nature. He was saying that somebody did a study one time but couldn't find anybody who knows how to build a pencil. Build a simple pencil. There's so much engineering goes into it. A team has got to create that lead in there. Somebody's got to get the right wood, the paint, the little metal that goes around the eraser. And it's all a team effort through various different suppliers and ordering systems and shipping and all that sort of stuff. Nobody knows how to build a pencil. And it demands cooperation, or requires cooperation to do it.
Yeah.
Something as simple as that.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So, also, I mean, some people, if they're open to, some people like to read books. I'm a very avid book reader, so I've read a number of books over the last few years, so I've come up with 3 books I could suggest to people that may want to look at. And if you don't read, I believe most of these books will be available in audio format as well. Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, just an outstanding book. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Right.
And they are be impeccable with your word. So, honest with yourself, to be authentic. Don't take anything personally, and the only thing that can get offended on me is my image, the ego. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
Eckhart Tolle actually talks a wonderful video. It's called The Ripple in the Ocean, and he says we're all conditioned to think we're like these little ripples on the ocean, and we look around and we get threatened by unless they're our family members or close friends, we seem to be threatened by every other ripple, and the ego gets in, so sometimes we feel superior to that ripple and inferior to that ripple. It's usually based on material possessions, but you wouldn't be a ripple unless you consisted of water. So what's the depth if I can get myself out of Lang the Rippleville, being Lang the Ripple in Rippleville, and when I do that, it's amazing.
Yeah.
You get down to the depth of the ocean, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how many possessions, nothing matters. It's just pure bliss.
Yeah. And even deeper on that water, you can't be Lang, right? You only have Lang.
Yeah. And then the experience up in Rippleville takes on a new tone. You view it from a deeper perspective. And from that depth, it's just an experience. It's right, wrong, good, bad are all judgments, perceptions. After all, what's right in Canada is not necessarily right in Africa.
Right.
So.
Especially when you consider that Canada is simply an abstraction.
Yeah.
It's in the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then the other book is 3 Magic Words by U.S. Anderson.
I remember that one.
That's a very powerful book. Yeah.
And that will twig somebody's emotions too when they find out what the 3 magic words are.
Yeah.
We'll give them away here.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So finally, where can we contact you?
Well, my website is www.sitesinsights.ca. That's SEITZ or Z INSIGHTS.ca.
Nice rhyme to it. Sitesinsights.ca. Well, Lang, that's been a great little discussion we've had here. I think it's an important discussion to have because it has to do with how we can improve our lives, improve the quality of our lives. I once heard a guy say that going to church for him, even though he didn't agree with it and he left going to church, he remembered what went on in there is some of the most valuable conversations because it's a conversation of depth. It's a conversation of why we are here. What's the purpose in us being here? Do we have free will? And these sort of questions. Whereas in the common discussion out there in the world, it's absolutely desertic in terms of any real depth, especially the public schools and all this sort of stuff. It's deliberately, any depth is expunged because, as you mentioned, the programming seems to be the agenda. Program these, I heard a quote not long ago, useful fools making useful tools. That seems to be what the society is trying to do.
Oh, and really, if people take the opportunity to look at their own beliefs and consider, well, who or what is running the show, and really, peace cannot be created in the world by unpeaceful people. It's just not possible. You have to create peace within yourself to generate peace out there. And actually, you have to, how can you be really a friend with anybody if you're not a friend with yourself? Many, if not most people, have their worst critic is the voice in the head, the monkey mind, beating themselves up. How can you authentically love somebody if you don't first love yourself? You don't know how to do it.
Yeah, and yet, like you said at the event you had, we have to be able to love ourselves to love anybody else. But in fact, we do the opposite. We beat ourselves up more than we beat anybody else up.
We do. And then we mirror that, and then because we beat ourselves up and the mind believes everything the thought it has, we assume everybody else thinks the same way about us, that they're judging us. It's us judging ourselves, mirroring that out, assuming everybody else judges us. And because we assume they judge us, we judge them back. So if I see somebody judging me, I know darn well they're judging themselves. That's the only way they could do it.
Yeah, it's something called meta-language. Like we're only ever talking about ourselves.
We're mirroring out our own perception.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thanks, Steve.
Great, Lang. It's great chatting again.
And cherish the moment. I don't know of anybody who has a guarantee of being here tomorrow, so no need to wait till Saturday.
Great.